So, you're thinking about making the move to Thailand, right? You've probably heard all the stories. It's this amazing, affordable place where you can live a better life for way less money. But with the way things are going globally, what does affordable actually mean in 2025? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. Let's break down the real numbers behind the dream. And this quote right here, it pretty much sums it all up. This is a story you hear over and over again. People come for one thing, the culture, the food, the adventure, but they end up staying because the quality of life they can afford is just incredible. It really stops being about just saving a few bucks and becomes more about gaining time and gaining freedom. But that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Low cost can mean so many different things to different people. Are we talking about a super tight shoestring budget out in the countryside? Or are we talking about living a comfortable, modern life in a big city? We need to get specific. So let's find out what your money really buys you. Okay, before we dive headfirst into spreadsheets and budgets, I think it's important to understand the core promise of Thailand. It's this powerful mix of modern convenience and just having that financial breathing room that so many of us are looking for. I mean, think about it. You've got everything from these world-class private hospitals in Bangkok to these super chill, laid-back communities up in the mountains. Thailand offers this amazing, well-developed infrastructure just for expats. So you're not just moving to some cheap country, you're moving to a place that has a really well-trodden path for foreigners, and trust me, that makes settling in so much easier. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk money. We're going to break this down into 3 common budget levels. This should give you a really realistic picture of the kind of lifestyle you can expect at different price points. First up, the foundational budget. So the big question, can you actually live in Thailand for $1,000 a month? Well, the short answer is yes, absolutely. But it does mean you have to approach things in a certain way. See, at this level, you're pretty much living like a local, and that's awesome. Think delicious street food for most of your meals, getting around on the bus, and renting a simple studio apartment a little bit outside the city center. It's a completely viable and, honestly, a really enjoyable way to live. It just means you're going to have to skip most of those Western luxuries. Okay, now let's see what happens when we double that budget. This is really the sweet spot where things start to get genuinely comfortable, especially for a single person. $2,000 a month just opens up a whole world of options. You can easily afford a nicer one-bedroom condo, probably closer to the SkyTrain. You can mix in those Western meals and hit up the grocery store for imported stuff without stressing about it. You can join a nice gym, and you'll still have a good chunk of cash left over for hobbies or saving up for trips. And what about for those with a budget of $3,000 or more? Well, this is where living in Thailand goes from being just comfortable to being downright luxurious. At this level, you're looking at things like spacious, multi-bedroom apartments in prime spots, maybe in Sukhumvit in Bangkok. You're eating at fine dining restaurants whenever you want, you've got premium health coverage, and you have the freedom to travel all the time, not just in Thailand, but all across Asia. It's a truly high-end lifestyle for just a fraction of what it would cost you back home. So, how does this all break down in the real world? Let's take a look at a sample monthly budget for one person living a comfortable life in Bangkok. Not super extravagant, but definitely not scraping by. This table really grounds everything in reality, doesn't it? This data comes from Expat Den, and it shows that for just over 40,000 baht, that's under 1,200 US dollars, you can cover all your essentials. That's a decent condo, eating out all the time, your utilities, transportation, and it even includes putting money aside for your health insurance and visa renewal. Pretty amazing. And as this chart makes super clear, the vast majority of your money is going to go to 2 things, rent and food. These are the 2 biggest chunks of the pie, no question. So if you can get a handle on those 2 expenses by choosing your location carefully and being smart about your eating habits, you'll have the most control over your entire budget. Of course, moving to another country isn't just about the money. There are a couple of really critical pieces of the puzzle that every single expat has to figure out. First, your legal right to actually live there. And second, how you're going to handle medical care. Now, for most people who want to stay long-term, it basically boils down to one of these 2 paths. If you're going to be working, your company will sponsor what's called a non-immigrant B visa. On the other hand, if you're over 50 and looking to retire, you'll be looking at the O or OA visas. For those, you'll need to prove you have enough funds to support yourself, and you'll need health insurance. And speaking of healthcare, Thailand has some of the best private hospitals in the world, But here's the catch. As an expat, you gotta pay for it because you're not covered by the local public system. A private health insurance plan isn't just a nice to have, it's a non-negotiable expense. It's absolutely essential, not just for your peace of mind, but in some cases, it's required for your visa.
All right, so now let's get to the really fun part. Let's see how your budget and the kind of lifestyle you want all come together. Because where you decide to live in Thailand is going to have a massive impact on your monthly costs and what your day-to-day life actually feels like.
This slide breaks down the classic trade-offs perfectly. You've got Bangkok, which has this incredible urban energy and anything you could possibly want. But it comes with the highest price tag. Then you head north to a city like Chiang Mai, and boom, your costs can drop by like 20%, and you get this much more relaxed, creative vibe. But if you're dreaming of that island life in Phuket, you better be ready, because it's a huge tourist hotspot, and the costs there can often be even higher than in Bangkok. So as you can see, the cost of living in Thailand, it's not just one number. It's a whole spectrum of choices. You could have a simple $1,000 a month life completely immersed in the local culture. Or you could have this incredibly luxurious urban experience. At the end of the day, your budget is what defines your reality. So the only question left to ask is, which one of these lifestyles is right for you?